Nice to meet you. I'm Aaron,
Nice to meet
KVRX
you.
Austin,
I'm Nick.
Programming Director here. So, South by Southwest, a big event.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about GoGo Penguin, about your South by Southwest experience? What can you say?
Yeah, well, we got here the day before yesterday after a very long flight, and just went and got some food, and then we got the full experience yesterday. Got out onto 6th Avenue.
Yeah.
As a taxi driver referred to it, Dirty Sixth.
Oh yeah, that's definitely an understatement.
Right. So we were playing on there, near there on Red River Street, and we did a showcase for it. Was with some artists from London. It's called Jazz Refreshed.
Yes.
And we were kind of an add-on. We're kind of an anomaly. Can't say that word because we're from Manchester and all the rest of the bands are from London. But it was a good show and people seemed to like it. Hopefully we got some new fans. We had a few Brits in there who were already knew us, but yeah, it's a good day yesterday. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
What did you think about your opening acts that show? Were they kind of related? Were they signed with like Blue Note, or have you worked with them before?
No. I mean, we kind of know about some of the bands because they're often the UK scene, and you know we know some of the names. But it's actually the first time we've met a lot of those other bands and get to see them as well. So yeah, it was quite refreshing. Sure, that's the wrong word, isn't it? Because it's jazz refresh. But to see some other stuff that's going on in the UK, because we're always on tour, we're always on the road, so we don't actually get to see a lot of the other bands that people are talking about. So
nice.
Yeah.
Just going back to just like GoGo Penguin's roots, I'm really interested about your instrumentation.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people make a focus on that reason. Like your sound is very distinct in like the jazz realm.
Yeah.
So how did you guys go about choosing your instrumentation? Was it sort of like at your disposal? You all just kind of got together, or did you perfectly assign like these sort of instruments that you wanted?
Well, that instrumentation's like the classic jazz trio lineup, and I think the reason it's become that classic thing is because they work so well together. You know, like just the sound of the piano, double bass, and drums. It's just a really good blend, or at least we think so. And they're the instruments that we play. So like we're kind of from a jazz background. Me and Rob, the drummer, met on the jazz scene doing jazz gigs. But Rob and Chris both studied classical music in Manchester at the Royal Northern College there. I studied jazz at another city called Leeds, and so we've kind of got these influences anyway, and this band was sort of bringing those things together. So Chris isn't he's not that interested in the jazz thing, he's more of a classical pianist, and we have a love of electronic music. So as for the instrumentation, it's just natural because they're the instruments that we're the best at playing, really. You know, I play a bit of bass guitar, but I'm more of a double bass player these days. So
Nice.
yeah.
How do you think like playing double bass like live is more different from like playing an electric bass in like a more modern sense? And how do you incorporate that with like electronic influence, like acoustic electronic?
Well, it's tricky actually because it can easily get drowned out. The same for the piano because the drums are obviously really loud, and so we have to employ a lot of techniques. Joe, our sound engineer, is over there. He's had to do a lot of work to get us to be heard, and then we use effects on the bass as well. So I've got a pedal board with all sorts of things, so like lots of pickups and microphones and stuff. Yeah. But I think that's the thing about the band is we like the challenge that we've kind of set ourselves. It's like, how do we replicate some of these things that we hear in electronic music and transfer them into this band with our instruments? So if we can, we always want to try and keep that instrumentation and not just sort of go off into the world of synths and just trying to make it a bit more easy for ourselves. It's like, let's try and do it with these instruments first and foremost. And sometimes it doesn't work, and we'll try something, it's like that's just not going to happen, we can't sound like a machine. And then other times it works really well. So but that's always a challenge.
Nice, for sure.
Yeah.
So last year y'all released Man-Made Objects, and that was definitely one of my favorite albums of 2016. I really appreciated the release. So can you tell us a little bit about the ideas or the creative process for that album, how it maybe differed from like version 2.0, stuff like that?
Yeah, I mean they weren't actually that different because we just sort of felt like it was a bit of a continuation. Some of the ideas that we had were sort of floating around when we're doing V2.0. I think that record, there's more of a sound of us playing better together as a band because we'd been together longer and been on the road and stuff, so it's more sort of gelled a lot of the playing. And I think we probably delved a little bit more into the electronica thing and a bit further away from the jazz thing on Man-Made Object. So there's tracks like Samara where it's pretty full on, and then it goes into like a big distorted section and then a delay, and we've had numerous emails with people saying there's something wrong with my vinyl, you know, and people sending vinyl back because they think it's wrong, like a jazz trio shouldn't be doing this kind of thing, so they don't realise it's deliberate.
Yeah. I always thought it was interesting about the whole jazz moving towards a more electronic way. People often like the term like new jazz, stuff like that.
Yeah.
What have you thought about like just where do you think the direction of jazz is going that way? Like, I know like there's a lot of new jazz artists out there doing different things, and also like acid jazz artists the same way.
Yeah.
So.
Well, people always need to try and put a label on things.
Yeah.
I guess to try and understand it for themselves, and we don't really try and think too hard about all that stuff really. It's just three guys who are getting together who like a certain kind of music and all have different individual influences, and this is the sound that comes out really, you know. It's like there's some shared influences and then there's some things that we're all into separately, and it's just kind of the sound of the three of us. I mean, it seems like I sort of keep getting told there's a bit of a resurgence of jazz at the moment, but it's kind of not really jazz, is it? It's jazz influenced stuff. So I guess that's what you're referring to. But I just think it's interesting that there's people taking it and trying to make their own thing with it, which is what we're doing. You know, it's just like, let's take this bit because we like it, and let's take this bit from here and just put it all together and see what it sounds like, and not being afraid to do that or feeling like, oh, a jazz band's not supposed to do this, or you know, you're not really jazz. It's like, who cares, you know?
Yeah. Jazz definitely has like a little stuck up sort of, or not stuck up, but like in the higher orders of jazz.
I think it's I mean, especially in the UK jazz press, some people were very sort of stuck up, and you know, like when Man-Made Object came out, there were some people who seemed to take particular offence at it, but it's just don't worry about it. Like, we're not making it for them. You don't have to listen to it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, going back to what you said about some of your influences, who are some really formative artists or like albums that you maybe listened to back in your days, like a middle schooler or high schooler?
There's a lot. I mean, for the band, a big influence is Aphex Twin.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, the Richard D. James album. You know, that I think that particularly had a big impact on Rob. And when he heard the drumming and stuff on that, well, you know, the drums, it's not drumming, is it? You know, started his quest to try and replicate all that stuff, which he does a very good job of. Just loads of labels like, you know, Ninja Tune. There was an old label that's now defunct in Manchester called Grand Central. They used to release loads of good stuff, and you know, like a lot of hip hop stuff. I'm trying to think of more formative albums. What do you used to listen to? I mean, I've been through a big jazz phase. You know, I studied jazz, so playing lots of straight ahead stuff. I don't know, it's a difficult question.
That's good though. I mean, I had never heard about Ground Central before.
Ground Central, yeah. Well, most people haven't, and it's kind of all been sort of forgotten about because it was a Manchester label, and it's like they did like hip hop stuff, and they worked with US rappers, and it was all going really well for a while in like the late 90s, early 2000s, and then like a lot of labels, it all went wrong. They ran out of money, and it's kind of all been forgotten about. But it was a really good scene for about 5 years in Manchester, and you know, when I was really young, I heard some of those albums and I thought they were great, and you know, combined with all the jazz and stuff I was checking out. But you know, we're all still big fans of Radiohead, bands like that. That's been a massive influence on us and still continue to be. Just love those guys.
For sure. So in 2015, y'all signed with Blue Note Records. So can you tell us a little bit about that? I mean, that Blue Note Records is, of course, like one of the most influential jazz producers and supporters.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, when we started telling people we'd signed to Blue Note, it was almost one of those like people spitting the drinks out, you know. It's like, yeah. It's like, yeah, we've just signed with Blue Note from Manchester. It's quite kind of weird. It happened really quickly though. That we were signed to. There's a trumpeter called Matthew Halsall based in Manchester.
Yeah. And
he set up this label, Gondwana Records, to release his own albums primarily. And then we signed and a few other acts when he started expanding, and obviously it kind of took off for us because we got nominated for the Mercury Prize in the UK, which was kind of a big deal there. You know, it kind of brought us to more people's attention. And then shortly after that we did a few other things. We were on Jules Holland, and then Blue Note kind of got wind of us, but we didn't know anything about this, and so we got a call. We were playing in Hamburg this week. I don't know what it was, 2014 or towards the end of 2014, and our manager just said, "Oh, the guys from Blue Note might be coming down to just to check it out, and they're going to be there." And then Don Was, the head of Blue Note, flew in from LA, and he's there with the head of Blue Note France, Nicolas Flug, and we just had a chat and talked about music and had a beer, and they were just like, he seemed like a cool guy, and he's a musician, and asked a lot of good questions. And then the following week they offered us a deal, and it's like Blue Note. So obviously we signed, and here we are.
Nice.
Yeah.
I'm definitely a fan of Blue Note.
Yeah. Well, me too. I mean, in fact, you're talking about formative albums. I remember buying loads of the Blue Note stuff on vinyl when I was, really young. When I was a student, stuff like kind of got into that Blue Note phase and loved the covers and the artwork.
Yeah.
And, like buying Blue Train and listening to that all the time, and loads of Herbie Hancock stuff, Maiden Voyage,
yeah.
and yeah.
Nice. That's tight. I just had to fangirl about that a little bit, because I'm a big Blue Note fan.
Yeah.
But going back to saying you guys were toured a lot, and I've noticed that also on your websites and stuff like that, which is great. I like that you're exposing yourselves to all of your fans out there. Is there someone though in particular that you guys haven't toured with that you'd like to tour with?
What, another artist?
Yes.
Kind of thing.
Uh-huh. Or maybe even collaborate with,
Yeah, well, going back to, if Tom York was up for it, we'd do that. That'd be quite good.
Yeah.
Bjork as well, yeah. People like that. Who else do we like? We do like, there's an electronica artist in England called John Hopkins.
Oh, yes, yeah.
We're all really into what he does. I don't quite know how a collaboration would work in that sense, but yeah. People like that, definitely, yeah.
Nice. Okay, so this little fun thing that we did is we asked GoGo Penguin here to pick out some albums from our collection out here to just talk about either the album cover or this, maybe our artist was very influential or something like that. So right over here, I'll go ahead and pick them out.
Yeah. Okay.
So go ahead and tell us a little bit about your selection.
Okay.
Why you chose this.
Well, as you can see, there's a lot of CDs in this room, so and I did this quite quickly. That's my disclaimer. Although this is good music, I don't know why I'm saying that.
Yeah.
So the first one we found was Mixmaster Mike with Bangzilla. Again, now I've remembered, the Beastie Boys I used to be really into them, and still am. Check Your Head is a great album, and Mixmaster Mike's the DJ. So I've not actually heard this album, so I'm going to have to check it out because it's hopefully very good. And this one, Dabray,
yeah.
How do you say that? Dabray? We're a fan of Dabray to the point where he did a remix on our last album for a track of ours called All Res, and we've not actually seen this album before, so we want to check this out, definitely. So there you go. Nice.
Well, thank you for having me here. I look forward to seeing you here at South by, and I'm sure many other people did too. So once again, it's KVRX Austin 91.7, and we're here with GoGo Penguin.
Thanks a lot, man. Cheers.
Cheers.